Hey moms, welcome to Go with the Mama Flow. So this is sort of a flow class for expectant mothers. It will be a little bit more challenging, so I'm hopeful that you have a previous practice to yoga because this class will move quite quickly. Also, probably expect to sweat just a little bit. We'll be moving the pose through the poses, enticing a little bit more of our cardiovascular system. So this definitely will be more of a workout. So if you're in your second trimester, you will probably love this class. If you're in your really late third trimester, I'll suggest something a little bit more gentle. So moms in the first and second trimester, not that I'm deterring anyone from taking this class, but usually in that third trimester, we want to find a class that's kind of focuses a little bit more on resting and grounding. So there's a few things that you'll need for this class. You will need 2 blocks, if you can find 2 blocks, and probably a bolster or a blanket for later on when we take our final relaxation, our Shavasana. We'll start sitting down just for a moment to take a nice check-in. I want you to maybe sit on a little bit of height, especially if you're in that later second trimester. It's just nice to kind of keep the pelvis lifted, finding some support in the knees. Take a moment to lift the shoulders up towards the ears and then roll the shoulders down onto the back. And we'll keep the eyes closed with that chin parallel towards the floor. Palms of the hands will just rest on the knees facing down. And then we'll start by taking a nice deep connected breath, lifting the breath towards the chest and the heart with a big audible exhale out. So one more as such, take a nice inhalation, sitting up tall, trying to create space for those growing babies. And then as you exhale, settle into the tops of the shoulders. So the space between the eyebrow center remains. Relax, your lips are together. Separate the teeth, letting the tongue slowly fall to the bottom of the mouth. So with each and every inhalation, we're trying to find this expansion up the front line of the body. And with each and every exhalation, trying to quiet any tension through the shoulders, the base of the spine, the hips, and the pelvis. So noticing if there's any tension gathered through the shoulders, taking a full inhalation. So each and every exhalation, we're just releasing down the back line. And then as the body becomes quiet and still, we start to move all that attention inwards towards our breathing. So at this moment, just noticing the natural flow of your breath, letting the breath flow in and out with much ease. Starting to perhaps even follow the direction of the breath. So on the inhalation, on this next breath, notice where your breath happens to move to. So where does it go? And then on the exhalation, can you find heaviness in the body where you might otherwise feel some tension or tightness? So perhaps in that low back and the base of the pelvis and glutes. We'll move into what's called your equal breathing. So in the next inhalation, you'll inhale to a breath count of 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and then you'll exhale to the same numbered count. So please try to choose a range of your breath that doesn't allow the breath to feel forced, stuck, or tense. So we're inhaling to a breath count again, reaching those ribs away from the hips, continue to create space, and on the exhalation, letting go of any tension in the shoulders, the base of the spine, and the pelvis. So now almost as if that synchronicity, that breath is moving in a circular motion. So the inhalations reach up the front line, and those nice heavy exhalations soothe down the back line of the body. And keeping this counted breath, place one hand on your baby and one hand on your heart, and just taking a moment to connect the two. So inviting your baby into this practice, into this flow. Noticing the sensation of warmth and heat through the palms of the hands, and maybe even saying a nice affirmation to your baby at this moment. So perhaps your affirmation for today, since this is going with the mama flow, is just that, is reminding yourself that no matter what, today, no matter what events happen, no matter the emotions that come with this day, you will embrace them all and just go with that flow. After this next elongated exhalation, just return your breath back to its natural and normal pace. So again, allowing that breath to flow in and out with ease. And then we bring the palms of the hands together with the thumbs connected at the heart space. We take a nice full inhalation towards the thumbs. Big audible exhale out. You can gently just bow your head for a moment, resting the palms of the hands to the knees. And when you feel ready, bringing your gaze to look forward. So we'll remove the block and we'll just place it in front of the mat because we don't need it at this moment. And just taking a moment to stretch the legs forward, giving your legs just a little bit of a shake out. We'll start coming back into that cross-legged position, so your dominant side. Right hand will draw over to the left knee, and we'll reach this left arm up and over. So we're gazing forward, taking a nice deep inhalation. You're breathing into that lateral left side of the ribs, and then as we exhale, we gently fall over to the right side. So keeping the shoulder away from the ear, trying to draw the fingertips up, but press the sit bone down. So we're even on that left and right side of the pelvis. We'll take a deep inhalation. As you exhale, push into the left sit bone, and we'll switch sides. So now the right hand over to the left knee, left arm up and over, soften through the top of the shoulder here. We're taking a deep breath in through the right side of the ribs, and then as you exhale, we gently begin to fall over to the left side. So now we're reaching up through the right fingertips, pressing down into the right sit bone. So there's equal distribution of weight through the sit bones, and trying to reach up through the pinky side of the fingertips if you can. Good. One more big breath in. As you exhale, we'll press into the right sit bone, and we'll draw back to center. So once again, legs are forward, giving your legs a nice big shake out. And just to stretch the back of the neck before we move on to hands and knees, we'll bring the pads of the feet together. So you're creating more of a diamond-shaped pattern with your legs. You'll have your hands wrapped around your ankles, and you'll just tip the pelvis forward. So coming into an anterior pelvic tilt, shoulders roll back, so we're lifting through the crown and the heart. And then as you exhale, we'll reach forward for the toes and just gently bow your head. So letting your chin just kind of naturally fall towards the chest. And here we'll focus on breathing in towards the spine. So again, if you're in that later second trimester and you're feeling like this forward fold is too intense, especially on the top of the uterus, then move your shoulders back a little bit. So the earlier on in your pregnancy, you might find more of a forward fold, and then we're breathing into the back. So we're trying to inhale, breathe into that lower, middle to upper spine. So find the breath in the back body, and as you exhale, let the shoulders kind of draw towards the ears. So we'll keep this chin exactly as it is. On this next exhalation, we'll slide the hands up the shins. You'll round up vertebrae by vertebrae, rolling the shoulders back to look forward. And then hands underneath the knees. Once again, we'll stretch the legs forward. So leaning either over to the left or right side, we'll transition onto hands and knees. So with your shoulders over top of your wrists and your hips over top of the knees, we'll work with a few ranges of cat-cow. So when you inhale, we'll lift the sit bones as well as the chest and heart forward. And then nice big exhale, you'll push down through the index fingers and thumbs to round the back. So every inhalation, we're guiding chest and heart forward, and then nice big exhale, we're pressing down. Good. So the index fingers and thumbs want to have the tendency to lift up. When you look forward, it's really important to hug onto baby. So we're going to say that a lot throughout this class to make sure that you're creating some core engagement for your back, and then nice big exhale. Good. So one more inhalation, we'll look forward, lifting the sit bones up, and this next exhalation, we'll curl the toes under, and you'll walk or lifting the knees off the floor, moving your hips back into your downward facing dog. So moving the shoulders nice and wide. If you feel lightheaded, you can look towards your hands. But here we just start to move. So moving from hip to hip and side to side. Take a nice deep bend into one knee. We start to root and press through its opposite heel. Good. As you exhale, we'll gently bend into the knees, coming back to onto all fours. So take your knees wide, big toes to touch. Into our wide-legged child's pose. Arms are forward, forehead to the floor. Another modification is to stack your arms on top, resting your forehead on your stacked forearms, or your sit bones don't have to be too close towards the heel. So you're always working within your own pain-free range of motion, which is incredibly important in this class. So please make sure that you're working within your own range. This posture here, this wide-legged child's pose, we're coming back to this if we feel as though we need a rest. Deep breath in as you exhale. Let's slide the hands underneath the shoulders and just press forward, bringing your gaze to look in front. So we'll take a moment just to stretch the wrists. So you'll interlace your fingers. If you're okay kneeling, if not, please switch to a cross-legged position. But we'll rotate the palms of the hands forward, and then we reach the arms up and overhead. So we're softening through the tops of the shoulders, trying to draw the front ribs back again, hugging onto baby in the front of the abdomen. So when you inhale, we're reaching the ribs away from the hips, but we're drawing up through the palms of the hands, and then we hug and squeeze the arms towards the ears. Hardest part is keeping the throat soft. Good. So on this next exhalation, we'll reach the arms forward, take a moment again, rolling the shoulders onto the back, and we'll just switch the clasp of the hand. So this time, you'll take the opposite pinky finger in front, rotate the palm of the hand forward, the palms of the hands, and raising the arms up. So we're just avoiding this rib flare, so trying to tuck the ribs back, hug onto baby in this movement. So deep inhalation, we're reaching the ribs away from the hips, so keeping the sit bones glued, but drawing up through the palms of the hands and hugging the arms towards the ears. Good. Full breath in as you exhale, arms come forward, hands on the thighs, and then rolling the shoulders back. Coming forward onto hands and knees once again, spread the fingers nice and wide. You'll curl the toes under, and once again, we'll move into a downward facing dog. So pressing away from the floor, you want really nice charged arms, kind of moving the shoulders away from the ears. Take a nice deep bend into one knee, starting to root and press to its opposite heel, so we're moving from side to side. And then as you exhale, we'll gently bend into the knees, coming back down onto all fours. Once again, big toes touch, knees wide into that wide-legged child's pose, wherever your range is. And we'll pause here. So keeping the elbows on the mat, we're going to start to work into some moon salutation. So working with our breath, creating a little bit of movement here. So at this point, just allowing your arms to relax. On the exhalation, the heaviness of your sit bones can start to fall towards the heels. So here we go into our moon salutation. We'll take a deep breath in, slide the hands underneath the shoulders. You'll press forward onto all fours, and you'll instantly on that inhalation look forward into your cow. We're going to exhale, curl the toes under into downward facing dog. Okay, taking a full breath in here. On this next exhale, bend into the knees, looking forward, and you'll step your right foot to the outer edge of your right mat into a lunge. Right hand on the right thigh, as with your left. And we'll pause here for a moment. So we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back. Just take a nice deep inhalation. So you're standing up tall. Ribs move away from the hips. Maybe on the exhalation, the hips draw forward. But we're really trying to co-contract the legs. So I want you to squeeze the legs to the midline of the body. So we're strong in this position. Full inhalation here. As you exhale, bring the hands forward. We'll step this right foot back. You're going to inhale, looking forward again into your cow position. Exhale, curl the toes under into downward dog. So shoulders away from the ears, moving the hips back. Take a deep breath in as you exhale, coming back onto all fours. Now we step the left foot forward so it's outside of the mat, making space for a baby. Left hand to the thigh followed by the right. So pausing here, make sure your knee's above your ankle, creating that 90 degrees. This knee is safe, so if you need something to kneel on, you can fold up your blanket or your mat. So reaching the ribs away from the hips, we're moving the hips slightly forward, but we're really squeezing the legs to the midline of the body. So one more big breath in. As you exhale, bring the hands in front. Step the left knee to meet the right. Fingers nice and wide. We curl the toes under once again into downward facing dog. So shoulders move away from the ears. Big breath in here. As you exhale, we'll bend into the knees, coming back down onto all fours. And then draw the sit bones back, resting the elbows and the hands. So noticing if the breath has sped up. Just taking a full inhalation, trying to breathe and connect into the back line of the body. And as you exhale, we soften and soothe any tension, any areas of resistance or tightness. With one more big breath in. As you exhale, we'll slide the hands underneath the shoulders again, pressing forward onto all fours. So look forward into your cow. On the exhalation, we'll push into the palms of the hands into that cat position. Good. Looking forward, curl the toes under and lift the hips up. So we're going to transition into a squat. I want you to look forward to your hands, send your shoulders over your wrists, and step your feet to the outer edges of the mat. So you're going to go pretty wide. I want your toes to point out to the side with your knees over top of the ankles. So I'm just going to switch positions so that you can see. Good. So just adjusting your feet, we're moving into this goddess squat with the knees over top of the ankles. So you don't want to see your knees going beyond your toes. You want to find this position where the shins are vertical. And then we're pressing our hands against the thighs, leaning slightly forward. So we need to lift the chest. So we're creating a little bit of stretch through these adductors. And then I want you to lean your right shoulder towards your left knee, creating a stretch up the right side of the back. On an exhalation, we're lifting up, and then we're leaning over to the opposite side. So now left shoulder, as if you're going to kind of tap that right knee. Big breath in as you exhale. Stand up tall, and then we're just going to alternate between that left and right side. So pausing here, and as I draw now my left knee towards my right shoulder, my left hand is pushing against the thigh to create that adductor stretch. Good. So moving from side to side, a little bit of strength and charge through the legs, but also through those lats and delts on that posterior side. So next exhalation, we'll draw forward, take your hands up. So the wrists align with the elbows. We're pausing here, keep moving the thighs back. So one more big breath in. As you exhale, push into the floor with the feet. Take the hands at the waist. And then we'll pivot the right foot to a 90-degree angle, back foot in on a 45. So raising the arms to shoulder height, here's our warrior two. So we're extending through the tips of the fingers, pushing into the back foot. We're pausing and holding. So big breath in, hugging onto baby in this movement. So we're making sure that we're safe. We'll hinge from the hips, bringing the elbow to the thigh, and then raising this left arm straight up. So we're reaching through the left fingertips and pushing all the way down through the left foot. So it's called extended side angle. Moving this right sit bone to the heel of the right foot, reaching up through the tips of the fingers. So full breath in. As you exhale, we'll move back to warrior two, looking over the right fingertips. Legs stay the same, pushing into this back foot. We'll drop the left hand to the left thigh and then raise this right arm up and over. So soften through the top of the shoulder. We're reaching up through the tips of the fingers. Bring your left hand for that right wrist and just give a little bit of a pull here as we create a deeper stretch up that lateral movement. So if you're feeling it in your back, we're hugging onto baby. Big breath in. As you exhale, we'll open the arms wide. Look over the right fingertips. Okay. Taking the hands to the waist, we'll just pivot over to the left side. So now your left foot in a 90, back foot in on a slight angle. Raising the arms to shoulder height, and then we lunge into the left knee. So knee above the ankle, pinky toe side of the foot moving towards, or the knee moving towards the pinky toe side of the foot. Reaching back through the right fingertips, we'll hinge forward, left elbow to the left thigh, reaching this right arm up and over. So soften through the top of the shoulder here. We're extending through the tips of the fingers all the way down through the foot. So reaching through the fingertips. So side angle, we're breathing into the right side of the ribs, hugging onto baby and charging out of this arm. So we're pressing into that left elbow. Big breath in on the exhalation, push into the right foot, coming back into your warrior two. Right hand to the right thigh, left arm up. We soften through the shoulder. So this might be enough if you want a little bit more. Grip your hand. So the right hand comes up to that left wrist. And the right arm is doing all the work. So relax the left shoulder, just breathing into that lateral left side. Big breath in as you exhale, open the arms wide, looking over the left fingertips, and then we'll take the hands at the waist. Toes point forward, making sure the toes are forward so they're paralleling through the outer edges of the feet, standing up nice and tall. Big breath in. As you exhale, we'll fold over top of the hips. So if you need your blocks, this is where you can take your blocks underneath the hands, and they go on a couple different heights, of course. Okay. If you're okay to not use your blocks, then the position is like a downward dog upper body. I want you to try to reach your hands as far forward as you can, but make sure your hips still feel as though they're over top of the ankles. So just to show you from the side again, toes are in. I have a stance 4 to 5 feet apart, so I'm not leaning too far back. I'm reaching the arms forward. So as if I was holding my upper body in downward dog. And then as you exhale, just let the heart draw forward. So if you feel lightheaded, keep your gaze to look towards your fingertips so your chin is above the heart. Otherwise, if you're feeling okay, we're going to pause here. Good. One more big breath in. So as you exhale, walk the hands back. I want you to take your knees really wide again, or your toes. So you're going to draw your toes out to the side. Making sure your knees are over top of the ankles, you're going to bend your knees, coming back into your squat, your goddess squat position. So rolling the shoulders onto the back, hands just gently press onto the thighs. We're standing up nice and tall. Okay. So here we're going to lean over, take your right arm over to the left side. So you're gently pressing to the left hand. It's reaching up through the tips of the fingers. Big breath in. If you feel like there's a lot of pressure in your pelvic floor, we're going to hug onto baby or lift baby from below. We'll switch sides. So right hand to the right thigh, reaching the left arm up, soften through the shoulder, drawing up through the tips of the fingers. Big breath into that left side. On this next exhalation, we'll lower the left arm. Hands at the waist, push into the legs, nice strong legs. Toes forward and just kind of heel toe your feet towards each other. So nice little bend into the knees. Just shake out your feet. So facing towards the front edge of your mat, we'll work a little flow here, focusing on our hips forward. So take a nice big breath in. We're going to draw the arms back, roll the shoulders onto the back, and then reach the arms up and overhead. So do this little trick by reaching the arm forward, drawing the shoulder back into the joint, and then taking the arm straight up. So as you can see, I'm getting just a little bit more range in my girdle. And then we'll bend the knees, and we'll pause here. So you can look down, just making sure you can still see your toes in the pose. So it's not about moving your glutes back. We're really strong here. We're still hugging onto baby to make sure that we have that lower back support. You're going to lean forward with the shoulders, keep the right leg as it is, and step your left foot back. Good. And I want you to push the heel towards the floor. So both toes and hips are pointing forward. Right knee stays bent. It's over top of the ankle, and that shin is still vertical. Good. So reaching the ribs away from the hips. As you exhale, I want you just to draw forward. And here we're reaching the fingertips beyond the crown of the head, pushing into the back foot. That's the position. Really depends on how far along you are. So you can also walk the right foot over, creating a bit more space. So I want you to hug onto baby, moving kind of the sides of the pelvis to the midline of the body. Exhalation, we take the arms up and overhead, coming back into warrior one, pushing into the heel of the left foot. Good. Take the hands to the waist, we'll give them a bit of a break, lean forward, knees will stay bent. So we need to come back into that chair pose. Knees, you can see your toes in the pose, drawing the glutes back. We'll reach the arms up and overhead. Do that little shoulder check again if you need, creating a little bit more movement in the girdle. We lean forward, left foot stays as it is, right foot back behind you. So it's maybe only about 3-4 feet apart. Hips are forward, as are the toes, raising the arms up, soften through the tops of the shoulders. Then we're going to lean forward, and here we're reaching through the crown of the head, pushing into the back heel. So that's a stretch. We're getting through the calf in this movement. So drawing the chest and heart forward. Good. So one more big breath in. As you exhale, take the shoulders over top of the hips, hugging onto baby. We'll release the hands at the waist as you lean forward. Knees stay bent, back into chair pose. Good. Rolling the shoulders onto the back. I want you to bring your hands in a prayer position as the thumbs kind of connect at the heart level. Hugging onto baby. One more big breath in. As you exhale, we're going to push into the floor with the feet and just straighten the legs, coming back into your Tadasana pose. So from this Tadasana, we're going to move through a modified sun salutation in pregnancy. So take your feet a little further than hip width apart. So you want to have room for baby, and we will kind of move into a pseudo squat. Good. So taking the hands at heart center with the thumbs connected, take a nice full breath in, big exhale out. And then we'll circle sweep the arms up and overhead. Good. And then as you exhale, I want you to hinge forward and move your glutes back into kind of like a supported squat. So if you need to adjust your feet, you can. We're going to see if we can lower the sit bones towards the floor, keeping your gaze to look forward. So you're just working within your own range. Lift the hips up, hands down. You'll walk or step your feet back into downward facing dog. So big breath in here. As you exhale, we'll draw down onto hands and knees, looking forward on the inhalation, and on the exhalation, I want you to once again step your right foot forward into your runner's lunge. So we did this a bit earlier, hands on the thighs, lifting the chest and heart forward, hugging the legs in towards the midline of the body. So we're going for strength in this position. Good. So getting the muscles around the legs to charge. One more big breath in. Take the arms up and overhead, and as you exhale, we'll fold. Bring the hands on inside. Good. When you bring the right knee to meet the left on an inhalation, we're going to look forward, and then on an exhalation, draw the knees back, big toes to touch, your wide-legged child's pose. So we'll just take one full breath in here. Exhale, we slide the hands underneath the shoulders, pressing forward. Good. On the inhalation, you'll lift your chest and heart. And on the exhalation, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. So pressing away from the floor, reaching high through the hips. Big breath in on the exhalation, lower hands and knees. Look forward, and we'll step the left foot into that runner's lunge. So hand to the thigh, pausing here for a moment. You can also just have your right hand at the right waist if you need. So the hips are forward, but we're squeezing the legs together. So really strong through the legs. It's almost as if you're hugging the midline of the body or the sides of the pelvis again to that midline of the body. So as you exhale, think about the legs moving to the midline. So we have this gentle squeeze of the hips. Good. Raising the arms up with an inhalation. As you exhale, once again, we'll fold. Left knee to right. On an inhalation, you'll look forward into that cow position. Exhale. Knees draw wide, big toes to touch, once again into your wide-legged child's pose. You'll bend your elbows, bring the hands into a prayer position directly behind the head. And if you want a little bit more tricep stretch, if you know your shoulders are quite safe, you can slide your elbows more towards the front of your mat. So it's going to lengthen the backs of the arms. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, I just want you to push your elbows directly down and into the floor. So we're pushing the elbows down and into the floor,
creating a little bit of space and stretch through the shoulders, and maybe you might find that through the backs of your arms again. Good. So the more pressure through the elbows, the more intensity in this pose. Big breath in as you exhale. Lower the palms of the hands to the floor as you take a deep breath in, and then we'll slide the hands underneath the shoulders and we'll press forward into a kneeling position. So just turning to face forward, we'll move into a kneeling pose. So if you know that you need a blanket underneath your knees, please take the blanket underneath the knees. Otherwise, we'll move into a pose called gate pose. So you'll draw down through the left leg, and we'll take the right leg out to the side. So we're going to create a bit of a flow here. Your right toes are pointing forward. We're kneeling on the left leg, and your hips above the knee. You also might want to block just beside your mat for your hand, but we'll first take the hands at hip waist. Good. So in this position, right hand will fall to the right thigh. We'll raise this left arm up. So soften the shoulder, just taking a nice deep breath in. We're breathing through that lateral left side. Draw the hip and the pelvis forward. Draw through the tips of the fingers. On the exhalation, we'll bring the left hand towards the floor. So this is where you can use a block. Right arm straight up, or if you don't need a block, you can also use the tips of your fingers. But rather than leaning forward, I want you to lean back. So draw the hip and pelvis forward, reaching up through the tips of the fingers. And then we'll exhale, take the right arm overhead, palm of the hand faces down. So now you're reaching through the tips of the fingers all the way down through the right foot. So it's again a stretch. So hip and pelvis forward. We're going to create a little bit of a glute movement. So keep the left wrist underneath the shoulder. See if you can literally just pick up the right leg. Okay, so we're picking up the right leg. Good. Taking the arm up and overhead, flexing through the foot. So you're pushing through the heel of the foot. So it's as if a foot tap. Just try to squeeze those glutes, push through the heel of the foot. If you feel pressure, we're hugging onto baby. And then as you exhale, we lower the foot. Sweep this right shoulder forward. We'll take the hands directly underneath the shoulders so the legs stay the same. So you have two movements here. You can draw down onto the forearms. More of a shoulder stretch. Be cautious of what that feels like on the tummy because there's not a lot of room for baby. Or you can reach the arms forward, straight arms with the forehead to the floor. Now that requires a lot of shoulder mobility. So make sure you're working again with your pain-free range of motion. You can stay with your elbows underneath the shoulders, gazing forward. The exhalation, we just lower the heart towards the floor. Get big breath in. We slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Left arm stays as it is. We reach this right arm up. So extending through the tips of the fingers, making sure, again, you're hugging onto baby. You're just staying within your range. If it's too tight in your elbows or shoulders, bend the elbow, rest the hand at the waist. On the exhalation, we'll roll the shoulder down. Again, bringing your right leg in, and we'll just switch sides. So we're actually going to reverse that whole thing. So now we have wrists underneath the shoulders, right foot out, left hip underneath the knee. Deep breath in. We'll first open with a twist. So as you exhale, let's reach the arm up, stretching through the tips of the fingers, hugging onto baby. You have a nice strong left leg. On the exhalation, we'll bring the left hand to the floor. Good. Either drawing down onto your forearms or straightening the arms, completely your choice of wherever your range is in your shoulders and your neck. And then on the exhalation, to get into the shoulders, we just let the chest and heart kind of draw towards the floor. So you have a still strong leg. Let's hug onto baby to give that lower back some support. Big breath in as you exhale, hands underneath the shoulders. Good. And we're going to walk the hands now over to this right side. So we'll start reaching the arm up, opening through the chest, lean back, hip and pelvis forward, and then we'll take the arm up and overhead. So we're reaching through the tips of the fingers, pushing into the right foot. And give permission to take a block underneath the hand if you need. So now without adjusting, can you literally just pick the leg up? Can you flex the foot? So we're going to charge through those glutes. It's a big stretch, reaching through the tips of the fingers, and then on the exhalation, leg lowers. Again, here's the hardest part. Take the hand to the waist. You have to lean forward, drawing back into your gate pose, pushing into the outer edge of the foot, and we'll raise this arm up and overhead. Okay. So stretching through the tips of the fingers. It's all about this right side, so we're moving the right hip and pelvis forward. Big breath in, and then as you exhale, take the hands back to a prayer position, and we'll once again sit on the heels. So rest the thighs or palms of the hands on the thighs for a moment, drawing the front ribs back. While we're here, let's slowly tip the right ear over to the right shoulder. Chin points slightly forward, head draws back as we just pause, catching our breath. So deep breath in, so the shoulders stay level. As you exhale, it's just the weight of the ear, right ear that begins to fall towards the right shoulder. Let's inhale, lift the chin parallel. We'll go draw to the opposite side. So now as you exhale, you have left ear that falls over to the left shoulder. So chin points slightly forward, shoulders stay aligned. Good.
One more big breath in, and as you exhale, we'll lift the chin parallel looking forward. Coming back onto hands and knees or all fours, spread the fingers nice and wide. One last time with an exhalation, we'll move the hip back in a downward facing dog. And I want you to take movement here. So nice big bend into one knee, rooting and pressing through its heel. So moving from hip to hip and side to side. As you exhale, we'll bend into the knees, coming back down onto all fours. So knees draw wide, big toes to touch. One last time, your wide-legged balasana, your child's pose. So drawing the inhalation in towards the back body, so lower middle to upper spine. As you exhale, just letting the weight of the sit bones fall to the heels. Sliding the hands underneath the shoulders, you'll bring your gaze to look forward, and then we'll move the heels out to the side. Okay. So we'll create a little bit of a flow here. Take your right leg out to the side, so it's on a 45. Toes are pointing up. Okay. Raising the arms up and overhead, and we'll hinge over to this right side. So middle finger, index finger around the big toe. You can also wrap your hand around your shin, and then take your left hand, bend the elbow, and rest the left hand on the low back. So the fingers point down. I just want you to kind of just hold just above the pant line. Those muscles are your QL, so that's where we're stretching. As you exhale, we're trying to rotate right ribs and shoulders forward, left ribs and shoulders back. So trying to stack that left shoulder on top of the right shoulder. Create a bend into the elbow, so we'll bend the elbow towards the shin, keeping the shoulder back so the chest is open. We'll raise this arm up and overhead, reaching those left fingertips up towards the ceiling, and again, pressing into the left sit bone. So we're breathing through that lateral side. Keep the shoulder away from the ear, gazing underneath the arm. With a big breath in here, as you exhale, hand to the shin. We'll turn this into a twist. So left hand behind the back, right hand over to your left knee. Flex your right foot, toes are pointing up. So we'll gently twist this one, making sure, please, that you feel safe in the abdomen, so there's no tension on baby. We're just kind of drawing through that upper chest, looking over your left shoulder to increase the stretch in the right side of the neck. And my pelvis is even and on the floor. So the right sit bone is pressing down. One more big breath in as you exhale. We'll square the shoulders, roll our shoulders back, we'll forward fold. So you'll hinge forward from the hips, again, keeping the chest and heart forward. So trying to move from the hips, taking a big breath in. So when your upper back and your chest want around, that's your stop point. Keep moving the flesh of the sit bones back, creating space between the sit bones. One more big breath in. As you exhale, shoulders over top. Here's the next pose. Left hand leans back a little bit. You're going to push into the right foot. We're going to sweep with this right arm and lift up. So it's like a supported three-legged or wild thing position. We're reaching the fingertips. You can either look towards your heart or look towards the back arm. And we're pushing into the right foot to help lift the pelvis. Big exhale, we sweep the arm down, lower the pelvis towards the floor, and then we'll switch sides. I always call that one the flash dance. So left leg out to the side, raising the arms up and overhead, and then we hinge over to this left side. So middle finger, index finger around the big toe. You can cup your hand around the ankle, right hand high on the waist. Rolling that right shoulder back. So deep inhalation, just connect to where your palm is touching. Those are the muscles we're just trying to soothe and release. So big inhalation, keeping the shoulder back. You can take a gentle bend in your left elbow. That'll also increase the stretch. Right arm up and overhead, palm of the hand faces down. So here we're reaching up through the tips of the fingers, pushing into the right sit bone. So nice lateral stretch, trying to breathe into the right side of the ribs, reaching up through the fingertips, especially the pinky line of that finger. Big inhalation here as you exhale, hand to the shin. We lead with the right hand into a twist. So right hand behind the back, left hand to the knee. Left sit bone stays down, toes are pointing up. Full inhalation. So again, in pregnancy, minimal twisting. We're just trying to open through the chest, making sure there's no tension or tightness, especially along the left side. Because our hips are square, so it's sort of forcing our spine to twist without using the hips. So it's a really small movement. You're just looking over your right shoulder to stretch the left side of the neck. On the exhalation, square your shoulders forward, hands behind the back, roll the shoulders onto the back, sit up nice and tall, and then on the exhalation, you'll create a forward fold. So we're hinging from the hips, keeping the shoulders on the back. Good. Maybe a little bit more movement, and then when you find that your shoulders want to roll forward, you're going to move your sit bones apart, creating space and length in the lower back. Beautiful. Big breath in here as you exhale. Send the shoulders over top of the hips. Your right hand will stay as it is. You're going to push into this left foot using the left hand. We're going to reach back. Good. So maybe looking towards your fingers or gazing towards your heart, but your right leg's working really hard to keep that pelvis lifted. Really small stretch in the front of the abdomen, so making sure it's not too intense. And then we lower the arm and the sit bones. Stretching the legs in front, giving your legs a little bit of a shake out. Then I want you to separate your legs about hip width apart or a little bit wider, wherever you're not going to feel compression. And just again, letting your chin draw down. So we're coming into that neutral position. Don't let your chin fall too far towards the chest. You can just rest your hands on your shins, your feet, wherever you want to move. And then inhale. I just want you to connect and breathe into the back again. So can you breathe into the lower, middle to upper spine? Head. Exhale, we'll take the hands up the shins. You can slowly round up vertebrae by vertebrae. Good. Soft bend into the knees, and we'll bring the legs in front. Nice little shake out. So we'll return into a cross-legged position. One more neck stretch before we take our final relaxation. So the shoulders are still square. You'll exhale, draw the right ear over to the right shoulder, and you'll start to walk the left fingertips away. So sitting up tall with the shoulders stacked on top with a big breath in. As you exhale, letting the ear fall to the shoulder, but we're working the left fingertips away. So it's really essential on the inhalation to know where you're feeling this stretch. You're going to feel it more down the trapezius, along the left side of the shoulder, the neck. And then as you exhale, can you breathe into that space? So start to feel heaviness in the shoulder. Full inhalation here. As you exhale, bring chin parallel, palm of the hand to the knee. So without lifting or dropping into your shoulders, can you exhale and just allow the ear to fall to the shoulder? So it's going to be a little bit more tender on that left side, and then we'll walk the right fingertips away. So sitting up tall, head draws back, maintaining and trying to create space for those growing babies. So big breath in here. As you exhale, ear falls to the shoulder. We walk the fingertips away. Okay, hugging onto your baby if you feel as though you need just a little extra back support. Good. So inhalation again on the exhalation. Where do you need to breathe to? So softening down and along the back of the right shoulder. One more full breath in. As you exhale, we'll lift the chin parallel, bringing your gaze to look forward. So I want you to get yourself ready for your final relaxation. We definitely need some time after that, this particular class. So maybe have your bolster or a block in between the knees, or even that blanket just to settle. So pillow underneath the head, exceptional, because we want some support. So I'm going to lay over here to my left side. You can either lay on that left or right side. Again, left side, of course, better for circulation during pregnancy, and then tucking the block in between the knees. So you can either extend the arm out, or you can just kind of fold up the blanket, making sure that you have some space and some support for your neck. And then we'll close the eyes. So here I like to place that free hand holding on to your baby so that the shoulder just kind of stacks and rests on top. The feet also stack on top. Good. With a nice full inhalation, just reconnecting with your own chest and heart as well as to your baby. And a nice big audible exhale out. So one more as such. Take a full breath in and big exhale to let go. So we're quieting that space between the eyebrow center, keeping the lips together, separate the teeth, let the tongue slowly fall. Using the inhalation to scan, just noticing from the crown of the head, and with each and every exhalation, just allowing those spaces in your body to rest that feel any residue from the practice, that still maybe have some tension or tightness. So finding that inhalation, still expanding up the front line of the body, and nice, slow, long, deep exhalations, letting the physical body just sink towards the floor. So reminding yourself that there's support beneath you, either from your mat or the floor, the earth beneath you. And then spending this time focusing here on your baby. So once the physical body has released, we're just more in tune with our breath. We're bringing all that attention and awareness to your baby. So we lead such busy lives, even though most of the day we're going with this flow. But it's nice to take some part of your day just to connect with your baby. So with the palm of the hand, again, feeling that warmth and that sensation. It's nice here to visualize your baby, talk to your baby, send some warm, positive affirmations or promises to your baby. If they're starting to move in response, communicate with them without sort of our sound, but with that intuition and that awareness. Remember that the soul that is in your tummy, in your womb at this moment, is not apart or separate from you. It's completely a part of you. So you can communicate on levels that don't require necessarily sound or tone, using the sensation of feeling, those impulses. So staying here for however long you choose. There's never any rush coming out of this Shavasana. When you do feel as though you're ready to come out, and perhaps before this video ends, you can just push into the palm of that free hand, lifting yourself very gently back into a seated position. Have the most spectacular day, and we'll see you again soon. Namaste, sweet mamas and babies.